Hi everyone, welcome to my SwiftUI mini course, and in this course we are going to create a Pokemon app, and this is how the app looks like. So we have some list of Pokemons, so we have a huge list here. We can see beautiful Pokemons, and this application also has a search functionality on the top, so we can just search for a Pokemon. Let's say we can just say Pikachu, and we get this Pokemon. You can tap on the Pokemons as well, and you can see that it has some more information like what is the type of Pokemon. So you can see electric. You can also visit this Pokemon by clicking here, which will open the pokemondb.net, and with that particular Pokemon with all the information. So let's go back, and we have like same Pokemons and with same types and all those things. So main idea behind this Pokemon application is to understand how to work with SwiftUI, how to make network requests, how to add the search functionality, and we will also see the new features which are coming with SwiftUI 3, which was just announced in WWDC 21 recently. So we will also see how we can use them, and also making sure that we make our app backward compatible. So all those sort of things you will find in this particular mini course. So keep watching, and if you enjoyed the idea already, press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also share with your friends who wants to learn SwiftUI or who wants to make iOS applications. So let's start our journey. This video is sponsored by AppCircle. Build your apps, distribute it to testers, and upload it to app stores, all automatically with quick and easy setup. 1 month free coupon code and the link in the description. So we will start with creating a project in Xcode. I have installed Xcode version 13.0 beta, which is the latest one, because we also want to test SwiftUI 3 here in this particular project. But you can also use Xcode 12 as well. I mean, SwiftUI 3 features might not work in that, but apart from that, everything will work. So let's create a new Xcode project, and here you will get many options. I'll select the iOS from the top, and then I'll select the first option, which is app, and I can click next. Then you have to give a product name. So let's say I say Pokemon Dex, and here in the interface you can select SwiftUI, not storyboard, and the language will be Swift. We don't have any other option yet. So core data we are not gonna check. Test we don't want to include, so I'll just press next. It will create the project for me in my particular folder. So I have selected one folder over here, and it will start creating the project for me. And you will also see here that I will get, like, let me select iPhone 12 Pro Max from the simulator options. And this area which is now refreshing is basically a preview area which comes with SwiftUI when you have to build UIs for SwiftUI. So this preview will like tell us that what kind of view we are making. And let me also hide this area which is not required right now. It will do some kind of indexing in the beginning, and now you can see we have a hello world over here, and this is our file content view where we have a text hello world with some padding. And this area which you see after line number 17 to 21, this is basically more or like your this preview part which you see here, right? And one more thing which you will see if you are using 13.0 beta, that you will not have any extension after these file names. Let's say content view.swift is missing. Like, why? Because this is a new feature which Xcode has added. So if you go to preferences, you can, here you will see file extensions hide all. If you say show all, then you will again start seeing those .swift extensions, and I'll go with hide all. So you can do it if you want. So now we have Pokemon Dex, we have files, Pokemon Dex app and content view, 2 files, and we have an assets folder which is blank right now. So Dex app, if you'll see, it is importing SwiftUI, and we have struct with Pokemon Dex app which is inheriting app. And then we have body which is having a window group where we are specifying the content view. And if you go inside content view, then we see that we have a text called hello world, and the padding. So if you are very new to SwiftUI, don't worry, we will explore each and everything, that how to work entirely with these kind of things. So let's remove the padding for now because we probably don't need it. And also let me increase the font size a little bit more so that we can get a better, okay, this is better. And I think font we can increase further. Oh yeah, this is looking good. I mean, this is also good as soon as it works. Okay, so now this is what we have. We have removed the padding and it doesn't reflect anything over here. So now what I'm gonna do, I am going to add another text over here and let's see if that works. So if you will add a text over here, you will see that the text is kind of not working, but rather it has generated two views for me. Why? Because technically if you'll see, there is a problem, it has crashed and that's why it is happening. So it is crashing because you cannot have directly two views inside your a particular view. So this is a view, you have to return one single view. So what you can do, you can have something called a v stack. So what I can do, I can press command and click and I can embed in v stack. So v stack is like a column, and if I place this here now, then you will see two hello world over here, which is looking perfectly fine. So what is VStack? Let me give you an idea. So VStack is basically when you have items in a column. So let's say this is one item, this is item number 2, this is item number 3, and the hierarchy will be like this. So this is a column. So we will use VStack to put our items like this. And let's say if we have, let me just go back. Let's try with this. So we have a few items in a row, then the hierarchy will be like this, right? So this is what we call row or H stack. So this part is V stack, or you can say column. So if you have used Flutter, in Flutter we call it column, and this part is row, or I can also say H stack. And when you have items on the top of each other, let's say you have this item, let's try this. So this item, and on the top you have another item, then you can call it a Z stack. So this will be a Z stack. So, and in Flutter we call it stack, just a stack. So this is the layout which we follow. So just wanted to give you an idea about it. Also, what you can do, you can also press Command Shift L and it will open this library for you, from where you can put controls. You can select control. Let's say I can select a button over here and I can place it here, and you will see a button as well, which is saying a button, and I can see a button over here. So these kind of things you can do with SwiftUI and Command Shift L, or you can also click the plus button over here in the top, and it will do the same thing. So you have some controls over here. The second one is library of modifiers, and these are modifiers like if you want to give padding, if you want to have an overlay, if you want to show an alert, and all those sort of things you will find here. And there are Swift API related information on the third tab. Then fourth one is for media, and fifth one is for your colors, accent color. So right now we have only one color, which is the kind of blue one. So I mean, just to give you an idea, this is what we can have. So now we will start building our Pokemon Pokédex app, and during the building process, during the learning process, we will try to cover all these things like text, VStack, HStack, and all those sort of things. And so yeah, if you go to assets, you can see that we have an accent color and we have an app icon option. So we can add icons over here which can go to our app store and for the app icon as well. And accent color, this is where we can add one or more colors, and we can generate more colors over here as well. For now, I will use one of my, if you see, I have an image over here, which I'm going to use here. So Pikachu is the name of the image. Why I'm using it? Because I want to create some UI after it. So what we are going to do in the Pokemon Dex particular location, I am gonna create a new group, and first group I am going to call views. So views will have all my views. Similarly, I will create a new let's say folder called services, and I'll create a new folder which will be, let's say, models, right? So these are some of the folders which I'll create, and then I can create a new group as view models, something like that. So we will try to follow MVVM kind of pattern. And what I'm gonna do in views, I am going to create a list of Pokemons, or probably a card. Let's start with a card. So Pokemon card. So what we can say here, we can say a new file, and this will be a SwiftUI view, and I'll press next. And now I can give it a name. So let's say I can say it Pokemon card, for example, and it will make a card for me. So this is again having a text hello world, and you can see we are not doing anything as such here. And I can replace it with an image, for example, if you want to see how that works. So an image, where we can give the name of the image. So we have an image called Pikachu. So you can see we got the image over here, which is looking perfectly fine, right? And I can do n number of things with this image. For example, I can use some modifiers here. So let's say I can call it resizable, which means I can resize the image. Then I can also set aspect ratio, where I can just say that, I just want to fill, not want to fit. So it will fill the entire canvas for me. Or you can use fit as well, which will basically fit the image in this particular area. Then what you can do, you can also say that I also want to have a corner radius, let's say of 20. And I also want to give some shadow, which let's say again is 20. So you can see, you will see something like this, which is a kind of a card, right? And we can also give some padding. Also remember that this order of things is also equally important. So once you give padding, then you can see this thing is not working anymore, the corner radius and all. So we can add it at the end, and then it works. So this order of modifiers is also very important, which we have to remember. So right now we can see that we got something like this, which is looking pretty good. Like I didn't think that this will look this wonderful. So this is our Pokemon card. We can add a text over here. We can do a number of things with this. So let's say, for example, if you're using the iOS 15 version, or if you're using the Xcode 13 beta, then there is something which can help us in generating a really good text over it, which is what we called kind of a background, as a material background. So I'll show you. So first of all, I can just say command click. Also you can press alt click to see the API and the documentation of a particular widget, and you will also find some example over here which can help you as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'll say command click, and I will embed in VStack. And also one thing which I want to show you is that when you click on command click, you will also see something called show UI inspector, which you also get with control alt. So if you click here, then you can see it has various property, like you can change the name of the image, you can have label, identifier for accessibility, and you can change the render mode, aspect ratio from here as well. You can also change the color. So let's go back, show UI inspector. You can give corner radius, which I'm already giving. You can give a frame, shadow, padding. So all those sort of information which we are writing in the code, we can also give it through this UI inspector. So we have a VStack, and after that, let's say I want to add the text of the particular Pokemon. So let's say I want to call it Pikachu. So I can see a text over here which is saying Pikachu. And what I can do is I can let's say I can say here that what I should say, font size. So I can say, let's say there are various font which you can use. You can say large title, you can say headline, title 1, title 2, and all those sort of things. Let's say if we say title, then you will see the size will be like this, right? And if we say large title, then you will see the size even bigger. And similarly, we can say caption, which will be for smaller size, right? And let's say if you want to give a custom font, then you can also say dot system, and you can specify the size over here. Let's say if I say 50, and if I just leave it like this, then you will see a 50 size will be allotted to this, which is again very good. So what we can do, we can go with large title for now. Also we can do the same thing over here which I showed you, like the inspector, where we can change the font from here and we can make it bold. So if you see here, I can make it bold, and I can also change the alignment to center just in case if I want to do that. So you can see it has already added font weight, bold, multiple alignment, center. Also you can go to this library of modifiers, and for example you can search here padding, and you can just drag and drop it here as well. So let's say padding dot all, and this works, right? So all these are various ways of adding things to this, which is pretty good. And now we have a text called Pikachu. And one more thing which I want to try a shadow of 20 here as well, if that works. And it gives us a very good kind of like it looks good. I mean, that's the main idea. And now what I'm gonna do, I will go back to my views here, and I will create a new view, which I can say new file SwiftUI view, and this time I will call it Pokemon list, where we can have a lot of Pokemons in fact, and we can do various things with those. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to say that I have a list, for example. So we have something called a list, right? And here we can have a for each kind of thing. So I can just say for each, right? And we can say 1 less than 5, and we can have something like text, right? And we can just say hi, something like this. And it says that it takes one. Okay, let's replace it. Okay, I guess that should be fine. I in is fine. And now if you see, we can see 5 items over here, 4 items. So what I have done is I have created a list, and inside it I have a for each. You can just say a for each itself, that will also work. And I'm saying here that it should be from 1 and less than 5, so that means total number of items will be 4. And you can see we have 4 items over here, hi, which is looking good. If I remove this list, this will also work, but you can see right now it has already given us a beautiful design by itself. So you can remove the list from here, and if I remove it, then also you will see that this will work, but it will not look that good. Okay, we have to wrap it with something, so we can just say a vstack probably rather than a list. Okay, now if you will try it, you can see, so this is not looking that good, right? Hi. This is not something which we want. So a list is a better option over here, which gives us a beautiful design which we want. And rather than hi, we will replace it with our, let's say, Pokemon card, which can do a beautiful thing with this. And you can see we got this beautiful design. And if you play over here, then you can scroll it as well. For 5, we can replace it with, let's say, with 20. And if you scroll it here, you can see 20 Pikachus, which is looking really nice. We can also set some backgrounds with this list. For example, we can just say dot list row item, probably list row background. We can give it a different color, if I'm not wrong, color dot red, for example, and it will assign this color, which you can see looks really nice. So there are various things you can do. Basically, you can say color dot green, and it will assign green color to this list of Pokemons, which is also not looking bad in any case. And what else you can do? You can also say that, okay, let's do it clear, which means that it will not show any kind of white background, which is again looking not bad. It's looking good. And one more thing which I want to do, this VStack is fine. This is looking fine. This Pokemon list has some kind of, I guess, padding along every side. So I can just say that I don't want to give any sort of padding. So let's say if I try to set the padding as 0, if that works. And okay, this is not working over here. Let's try to give this padding 0 to for each. Okay, this is also not working to list. So you can try various things. I guess this padding 0 will not work because list has certain padding which it gives automatically. One more thing which I want to tell you, that if you see it closely, you will find there is a separator over here which you can remove easily using SwiftUI 3. So in between, I'll keep telling you that how you can do certain things. So for example, you can have list separator visibility, so list row separator, and you can just say dot hidden. One thing for sure, it does not work with the older version of app. So you will see that it has a check called if available version check you can apply. So we can apply this check. So it is saying that if iOS 15 is available, then only do these kind of things. And you can see the list, the separator has been removed, which is looking fairly nice. But if we are not using iOS 15 for some reason, then we can just use like, let's remove this part from here, and we will do something else, or we will just remove the list row separator from that particular case. So we have a list of Pokemon which is looking fairly nice. And what else we want is, if I go back to my content view here, I can see we have hello world and all those sort of things. Rather than that, let's replace it with our Pokemon list, right? And if we do that, then you can see over here that we will get good kind of thing, which is gonna take some time, I guess, in the preview. Okay, yeah. So we got this. One more thing, what I want is, rather than VStack, I can have something called a navigation view. The advantage which we will get is that we will have some sort of navigation where we can have a navigation title. We can perform. We can have a search option. We can search through this list of Pokemons. And if I say navigation view, you can see we have some blank space on the top, which is for navigation. And we can go to our Pokemon list, or maybe if you don't want to go there, you can, in fact, here itself, you can just say Pokemon list dot navigation title, I guess. And here you can just say Pokemons. And now if I'll resume it, then you will see we have a beautiful title on the top Pokemons. And if you will just scroll, then you will see that it will also go on the top, and it will have this glass effect which looks really, really nice. And yeah, this is looking really nice. Few more things which we can do. If we go back to our Pokemon list, we have a Pokemon card over here. What I can do, rather than saying a text over there, I can have a new text probably. Let's see what we can do. Let's go to Pokemon card, in fact. And here, rather than V stack, we can have a Z stack. And Z stack, what it will do, it will place the text here, which is not bad. And this text, we can have a background, which will again, let's do one thing. In fact, let's create a new text over here. Let's create a new file, and we can call it Pokemon text, okay, or Pokemon name text, BG text, something like this. Whatever you want to call it, it's totally fine. and we can just copy this from here and we can just paste it here, and we will just say, rather than this, we can just say Pokemon bg text, something like this. What it will do, why I'm doing this, I'll just tell you. If I do a resume, then you can see that we have the same output which we used to have, so nothing has changed actually. But what I'm gonna do here is I am going to say over here that do one thing, dot background, which means we can have like a shape kind of background like this, and here we can say that we want to have a regular material. This thing will only work with let's remove the shape from here right now. I guess this should be fine. And what it will do, if you will just let it get solved, what you will see is that this particular thing is only available with like iOS 15. So we have to add a check called if this is iOS 15, then only do this. And this is and otherwise you can just say a normal text, for example, and or whatever else you want to do. So that's why what I did, I actually removed that bg text and I pushed it to a new particular screen, so that it doesn't matter here, at least it at this place. And now it is looking good, right? Let me just do that. And also what I'm gonna do, I am going to set the alignment of G stack. Let's do one thing, alignment, and I can just call it dot bottom. So we can, SwiftUI uses a lot of enums so that you don't have to type everything all the time. And then you can also do one thing, that you can set an offset for this. So we can set an offset for X and Y. So X, let it be 0, and Y we can have -20, for example. Let's see if that works. Okay, this is working fine. Let's make it -40. Okay, this is looking nice. And also if we can give it like a rounded corner, so rounded rectangle, and we can provide a corner radius which can be 20, for example, then it will make it even better in looks. Yeah, this is looking really nice. Let's, rather than 20, let's call 10. And this is also not looking that bad. Also what else you can do, rather than regular material, so this is only available in iOS 15 in SwiftUI 3. You can use something called thin material, which will have a little bit more transparency. And similarly there is ultra thin material which has even more transparency. So you can see this is also not looking bad at all, right? So now if we go back to our content view, you can see that we will have let's resume it. We will have a lot of Pokemons. Let's see, like this. And this is not looking bad at all. This is looking really, really nice. Now what we have to do, we have to kind of, when we click on this Pokemon, we have to go to a detail view, right? And where we can just see more information about this Pokemon, for example. So we can do that as well. And that's when our this navigation view can be really helpful. Before that, we will implement search as well, but right now I think that's not very important. We will do that once we fetch the data from some sort of API, and we will do all sort of things like that. So let's do that. In fact, let's create our moral services and all those sort of things which can help us in getting all the available information. So I already have some sort of API. So if I show you, so this is basically an API which I have, which gives us a list of Pokemons where we have a lot of information like number, name, variations, name, description, image, types, species, height, weight, abilities, states, lot of information. So what I'm gonna do, I will create a model for that, and then I will I will write the API service class for that. So for model, I will create a new file, and this time it will be a Swift file, not a Swift UI file. And I can name it, let's say, just Pokemon. And I have a Pokemon kind of model here. I can use a struct Pokemon, right? And it will be codable as well as an identifiable if you want to use it, or you can remove it for now. So it's a codable or decodable, whatever you want to use. So right now we just want to decode, so we can also say decodable. So I guess decodable, right? This should be fine. And let's see the properties which we have. So the properties which we have is, one thing is num, second thing is name, and then in the variation we have something called variation, where we have name, description, image, types. We have some types, and we have some more properties. We are not gonna use all of it because we are just understanding things right now. So we will just use name, description, image, and types. All the first four probably, that will be more than sufficient. So we will start with num. So we have something called num, which is an integer. So we can just say int. Then we have a name. So let name, which is a string. And then we have something called variations. So variations, and which will be of type, which is a list of variations. So we can say poke variation, right? Yeah, poke variation. So list of poke variation. So variations is what we are saying, and we can create a new struct which will be poke variation, right? It can be also decodable. And what it's saying is that type Pokemon does not conform to decodable. Okay, so that's fine. Let's make it codable rather, which should not give us any error. Okay, this is fine. Also, you can just say encodable, which will work for both. So right now, this is what we have. Okay, it is still saying the same thing, which is fine. Here we have a name, which is a string, which is what we saw on the model. Second thing we have is a description, which is also something which we have. Third thing is our image, which will use like this string. Okay. And the fourth thing which we have is types. So types is list of string. So we can just say like this, right? So this is what we have. And let's see if this spelling is, oh, that's why it's giving us an error, right? So I guess this is looking fine now. So we have a Pokemon class, we have a struct, Pokemon struct, and second one is Poke variation struct. So this is what we are going to use for as a model, for a data model for our for our API, which we are just gonna create. So we will go to services, and we can create a new file over here, another Swift file, and this time we will call it API service, right? API service. So we have this API service, so we can just say class API service, right? And we can create a method over here. So before that, also what I want to do, I want to create a base URL on the top, which will be a string, right? And I have a base URL, guys, which I'm gonna use for this. So if you see, I have this base URL which is like from here to here, which might be useful in some of the cases. And then what we can do, so this is our base URL, and then what we can do, we can have this particular part, which is our URL for getting the list of Pokemon. So here we can say, let's say we have a function called get Pokemons, or fetch Pokemons rather. That's a better name, I guess. So fetch Pokemons, and here I can just say that, okay, this is what we have. Here we have a URL kind of. So we can say let URL string, and we can just say that this will be base URL plus our URL, right? So what is our URL is basically, let's say base URL first, base URL, and then slash and this URL. So this will be our URL for fetch Pokemons. And what it is saying, I don't understand. Expected this in class, which is fine, I guess. Variable, let's make it a variable. Okay, this is fine. This is giving me an error for no reason, I guess. This should be fine. Okay, now we have a URL. What we can use? We can use something called, like when we are dealing with Swift UI 3 or Swift 5.5, you can use something like Async Await, which I'll give you an example, but that does not work below iOS 15. So we can use closers for all those sort of things. So that's what we are gonna do here. So right now I'll just say that I need a completion handler. So that will be, let's say, escaping, and we will have a list of Pokemon which we will be getting, right? So that will give us this. So this is what our fetch Pokemon will look like. And then we can, let's remove a semicolon. I have a habit of using semicolons a lot. Okay, now what we are gonna use, single argument function require parentheses. Oh yeah, so parentheses we are missing. So now it's looking fairly fine. We will use something called URL session, and we can just say URL session dot shared dot data task with URL, which will give us a data URL response and all those sort of things. So I'll just say data task URL. We have to pass the URL, so I'll just say URL. It cannot be null, obviously. And in the completion handle part, we can just say that, okay, we will get data, which will be data, right? And URL response, which will be nothing. We don't need it right now. Okay, we don't need any of those. And here we got the data. We can use this data to decode the things. Have to get Pokemons. So Pokemons, how we will get it? We will get it using JSON decoder. So what I'm gonna do, I am gonna say, let's say guard data is equal to data else return. So I'll just guard this data so that it does not give me error later. And we can use something called dispatch queue dot async. So in asynchronous code, we will use, let's say, Pokemons, and we will use something called JSON decoder. And using that, we have a method called decode. And using decode, we can decode from type. So the type is Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon dot self, and data we have here. So data. So this will give us Pokemons. So JSON decoder is basically to decode all those sort of things. Okay, what I am doing wrong. Can use our completion handler, and we can pass the Pokemons, which should do the work for us, and decode. Actually, this is now fine, I guess. Why we are still getting some issues? Okay, so this is what we have to do, and after this we can just say dot resume. So this is how we write our URL session. So this URL is not supposed to be a string, but rather a URL, which it is demanding. So that's a mistake which we have done. So we can just say string URL and URL like data. Okay, let's do this. Let's keep it like this. JSON decoder dot decode decoder dot decode. Oh yeah, so this is what we were missing. Now it should be fine. So we were missing the braces over here, so I guess now it should be totally fine. Okay, it wants us to add a try here as well. So try, and it should be good. Okay, now it should be good. We have the fetch Pokemons ready. So now what we can do, so basically we are just using URL session to fetch some data and all those sort of things. Now we have the API ready. We have to call it from somewhere so that we can use it in our application. So what I'm gonna do, I am actually going to my Pokemon model, which is fine. Um, then API service is fine. We can go to view models, and here I will create a new file, another Swift file, and I can just call it Pokemon view model, right? And here I can say class Pokemon view model, right? And this will be inheriting this observable object, this protocol. So what I want to have published variable, let's say Pokemons, which will be a list of Pokemon, right? Published has a spelling which is wrong, and then we will have a new function over here. So this time again fetch Pokemons, right? And inside this function I will say that I will call, let's say, API service dot fetch Pokemons, and once we get Pokemons, then we can list of Pokemons. So we can say Pokemons, and then we can just say self dot Pokemons is equal to Pokemons. So what it is doing is basically it is having a method called fetch Pokemons, which is using API service to fetch the Pokemons, and once it gets a Pokemon, it will just assign these Pokemons to this Pokemon, which is fine. And it is saying that class Pokemon view model has no initializer, so we will have to say init, right? Which can be blank, I guess. And here we can just say fetch Pokemons. So now we are good. I think we are good enough. Okay, self we are missing, self.pokemons. We are good. We have done almost everything. We have the Pokemon view model ready. We have the fetch Pokemons function ready. And we have this as well ready. Let's see if we are missing anything. I guess everything looks fine to me. Okay. Yeah, I think it's all good. It's still giving some issue, but maybe it's just like when we will build it again, it will be fine. So sometimes it happens with Xcode, I guess, these days, that it gives us this random issues here and there. Okay, it's saying that before all stored properties are initialized. Oh yeah, so let's make it like an empty kind of Pokemons initially. Okay, so sounds good. Everything looks good. So we have our Pokemon view model ready, which is so observable object is like it's more like streams, right? So this published works like a stream. So whenever Pokemons will change, it will notify that the Pokemon list has changed, and we can use this. So we have something called Pokemon list. So we can use this inside this list to get all those kind of things. So now what I'm gonna do. I am actually gonna do here in the content view that we are having a store. So we can use the store like we have an observed object. Observed. Oh, what's happening? Observed object, I guess that's will work. And then we can say we have Pokemon view model. So we can say let Pokemon VM, which is of type Pokemon view model, which will be actually Pokemon view model itself, right? So this is what we have. Let Pokemon VM is equal to this, and using this we can pass the Pokemons over here. So in the Pokemon list, I will have Pokemons. So I can just say here that I need Pokemons which will be of type Pokemon, right? And this Pokemon list we will get from our Pokemon content view. Okay, this is also saying that this also needs a Pokemon list. So we can just say Pokemons and I can just pass a blank list dot constant. Okay, so now it should be fine. Uh, as no mom. Okay, this is not required, I guess. We have to pass a list, which is fine. We can just pass a blank list. That should be fine. Now, let's go back to content view. And here we have to uh, pass here Pokemons, which we can pass from, let's say, Pokemon VM dot Pokemons. So this is what we will do. And now if I'll resume it, and let's try to also check why it is causing. Property wrapper can only be applied. Oh yes, it should be var. So this is fine because it can change. So it should be var. And now I think it looks good. We will probably want to print this Pokemons as well. So let's print our Pokemons just to make sure that things are working. I think we should run it on a real device rather, because that will give us a better understanding of things, how things are working. Or we can just enable the debug view here, but that will not be really that good. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run it on a real device, iPhone 12 Pro Max. So now I'm running it over here on my iPhone 12 Pro Max, and let's see what happens. So we will see if we will have any error sort of thing, then also we will see it. And if everything works, then also it's good. We got some data over here. Let's try it one more time, guys, just to check that things are working fine. So we got some data for sure, but that data is not very helpful. We lost the data. Yeah, we have data here. So not data. um what we can do is we can add a breakpoint here as well if we just want to check that. So let's do one more time. Let's try it out one more time just to check that whether we are getting Pokemons or not. So we are definitely getting Pokemons, and we are getting 809 values. So we have like almost 809 Pokemons which we are getting. So things are working. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll just replace my dummy data with so basically I'll go to my Pokemon list, and here I will replace it with, rather than saying this, we can just say Pokemons, and we can have Poke, and inside this Pokemon card we can pass this Poke. So what it is saying is that it should be identifiable. So I can just say dot id can be dot self, probably that should work. Yeah. And for each requires Pokemon type to be hashable, which is definitely not something which I want. Okay, so we can just say Pokemons. Okay, dot self is not working, I guess. Let's try this. Okay, it's saying that struct for each requires the Pokemon conform to hashable, or we can probably make it um, identifiable as well. So what we can do, we can go back to our Pokemon class. So the error is basically it's saying that you don't have an ID, so we don't know how to use it inside a list. So I can just call it identifiable, and I can create an maybe you can say a UUID. So ID like this UUID. But when you do that, you also you don't want to use it kind of or maybe we can do something like this. What do you say? Get and you can return a UUID, something like this. Maybe let's try this one out. And type annotation is missing. Okay, let's replace it, which is fine. And UUID, yeah, it should be fine. So now if we run this project again, launching it, let's see if that works. Okay, this is working. And let's see if it is 20 or more than 20. Yes, it is very like a bigger number, not just 20. So that means things are working. So now what we can do, we can go back to our Pokemon list, and inside that we can pass our this Poke to our Pokemon card, right? So we can have inside our Pokemon card, we can say that we need a Poke, right? And that Poke will be a Pokemon, right? And using this Poke, we can just, so it is saying here in the Pokemon card that it needs a Poke. So we can just say Pokemon, and from number, let's say 1, name is, let's say Pikachu, variation is just blank, not anything. And here, rather than image as Pikachu, let's leave the image as Pikachu, but let's also pass the name from here. So the name can be Poke dot name, right? And in the Pokemon BG text, we can have the same thing, let name is equal to string, and we can just replace this with the name. And one more place where we have to change it is Pokemon list, where we are saying that, okay, we have to send Poke from here to here. And that's same thing which we will do in this particular card as well, which is making it fine. There is one more bug in the Pokemon BG text, which is saying that, okay, here you can provide some text probably. So name, I can just say Pikachu. So this particular preview part is totally to just check that things are working very well on the preview section. Now let's run it one more time, guys. And this time the images will not show for obvious reasons. Okay, we are still getting some bug. Okay, this is saying that here you haven't changed the name. So the images will not change because images are now coming from server, and that's something which we haven't done yet. So we'll see that. And you can see we have beautiful name. You can see we have Bulbasaur, we have Ivysaur, we have Venusaur, Charmander, Charizard, and all those kind of things. So things are working pretty good, I would say. The only difference is that that we don't have an image. But so if you are using SwiftUI 3 or iOS 15 or Xcode beta 3, then you can use something called Async Image, which is a new kind of view which SwiftUI has introduced. Async Image, which can directly be used to fetch images from URL. But if you are not using that, I can search something called SD web image SwiftUI, which is a pretty good library to. So you can see here, this is the library which we can use to fetch the image for anything below iOS 15. And I'll show you the iOS 15 one as well, but let's try this one first. And we can either add it via pod, or we can also add it via Swift Package Manager. So let's see how we can add it using Swift Package Manager. So I guess this is the URL which we need. Okay, so let's copy this, in fact, the GitHub URL. We can go to file, we can go to Swift packages, which is not looking like we have the access to. Okay, what's happening? Why I cannot add it? Oh, we have to select the package, I guess. No? Okay, I guess we should be able to add the package from here, which certainly I am not able to do. Okay, what I can do, I can open it as a workspace, and then probably I'll get that option, which is I'm not getting right now. Swift packages, here we have Swift packages as well, so I can add it from here. Plus add package. So search or enter the URL. So here we get this st. So they have kind of changed the interface of this particular thing as well, and I can add this package. So it will take a moment and it will add the package for me. So this you can use for iOS below 15, and Async Image you can use for iOS, or you can use it for both of them. It's totally fine. I'll just show you Async Image just for the sake of showing it, otherwise it doesn't matter. So now rather than image, I'm just gonna replace it with web image. And there is one more trick, that if you see our this particular thing, then in image we are not actually getting the URL, but rather we are getting a folder name which is images slash bulbasaur.jpg. So we have to kind of see that how we can fix that. So web image is basically, also one more thing, if you missed it, I'll show you again, that when I'm just saying that I need a web image, it imports. So it is saying that this struct is defined in SD web image UI. Choosing this completion will import the module. So you don't have to import the module manually now, which is a good thing. And you can just say URL. So it needs a URL. So what I'm gonna do, I will go to my Pokemon right here, and with image I can say a new field which will be something like let URL image, which will be a type of URL this time, and we will create a getter for it, and we will just say that we have something like, okay, let cannot be the computer properties. Okay, I forget it again. And here I can just say that I need a URL, right, where we need a string, and that we can make using something called base URL, if you remember. So we have something called a base URL, then we will say slash, then we will say public, then we will say slash, and then we will use the image. So image. Okay, what's happening? Public is fine. Image. Okay, this is what I need. This URL image is what I need. So I'll go back to my return must be wrapped with abort. This is fine. Must be wrapped with. Okay, this is fine. Now I'll go back to my Pokemon card, and this URL I can get from Poke, right? Poke dot variations and the 0th variation, and then we have a URL image. So that's all you have to do. And now if I'll play this again, so you will see that this should work, and it will give us the URL directly. We don't have to do anything else. We can use the model pretty well. And let's see, it will take a moment, and it should generate the URL image for us. And since we have added a dependency, so it can take some time initially. Or let's see if we get sort of an error. Okay, we didn't get any image for some reason. Let's see what might be the reason. That either we are not adding the correct URL or something is wrong with this URL. So let's see our base URL once. So it's like this. And oh, we have slash master as well, which we are missing, I guess. So what I'm gonna do, I am going to say, let's see what we get here. Images slash. Okay, so I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna replace it with slash master. Okay, let's try one more time, guys. Maybe the URL I'm writing is wrong, so maybe it's slash master slash public slash images. Oh yes, this is what. So this is correct, and we got all the images over here. This is looking really amazing, and yeah, I mean, this is all you have to do. There's nothing much you have to do. And what you can do, you can also create a new file for this web image. You can use something called an async image. So what I'm gonna do here, I can just copy this for a moment, and I can replace it with async image, right? And this is actually very similar and it works. So you can see that async image has no resizable kind of context, which is fine. How you use it is basically you use something like this, okay, and you can just say image in, right, and you can just say image dot resizable, and you have something called a placeholder as well. Placeholder, okay, and here we can also say rectangle dot maybe color. We have a color, right? How we use it? Rectangle dot. Okay, it's showing me some error for some reason. I have to check how we can use it. Okay, placeholder we will replace later. We can create a rectangle and we can just do some coloring over it. But let's see what is the problem with that. Oh, this is again saying the same thing, which we are gonna use is like we will have a available check. And if it is not here, then we can use, let's say, web image. I'm just showing you how to use async image, that's all. Otherwise it doesn't matter. And if I do a hot reload, then you will see that it will still work. And this time you see the orientation has changed a little bit. Why? Because the image which we are loading has to be given some frame or something like that, right? But yeah, it's clearly not working exactly like how I planned. It's still not showing the image, which is a little crazy stuff. Let's see what might be wrong. Let's add a placeholder here, rectangle dot. So a rectangle, let's see what, yeah, rectangle should be fine. Dot color should be an option here, I guess. Dot foreground color, right? Color dot maybe gray, something like this. Let's try it one more time. So we are adding a placeholder for this async image. Similarly, we can add a placeholder for this web image as well. Okay, we got the placeholder, but I guess the image is still not loading for some reason. And what's that reason is probably, let's remove all these things. Maybe let's make it fill. It's resizable, which is fine, I guess. Okay, let's try one more time, guys. So async image usually works. It's not working for some reason right now, but it works. I have tested it and it has worked all the time, but as of now it's not working for some reason, which I'm not sure what might be the reason behind it. But yeah, oh yeah, it's working actually. So now it's working. It's just that it took some time to load. Not looking the best one, but it's definitely working. Similarly, you can also specify here the activity indicator, I guess, user activity. Oh, I guess I'll still prefer to use web image. The reason is that I have seen that async image has some caching issues as well sometimes. So as you can see, this is looking fine, but it's not looking perfect. Although web image has same kind of properties. In fact, you can also specify placeholder here as well. If I'm not wrong, they have a placeholder property. Yeah, so you can specify a placeholder. You can also specify an activity monitor, activity indicator, I guess. Indicator. Yeah, you have that. So we can just check the documentation, in fact, to see what it offers. So yeah, you can see you have a transition, you have indicator basically, and you have a placeholder as well, which we can use here as well. Let's try using that. So I'll just replace it with this. And also I just want to have some opacity, let's say 0.5. Similarly, we will just say dot opacity 0.5. And now let's try it one more time, I guess. Okay, see, you can see that it has definitely some issue. Okay, this is saying that this is not working. The reason is very much clear, that we have to put it here rather than there, and now it should be fine. So the order is important, I have been telling you. Let's try one more time, guys. Otherwise, so async image is basically working right now as well, but we will probably jump to web image because that's still better, in my opinion. Web image still works a little bit better. But yeah, if you want to use, you can use async image as well. So as you can see, it takes some time to load, which is more than what I have seen with our web image, which works better in my opinion. So let's do this one more time, and let's use just web image, and you'll see that it will have a better user experience than async image. And this time you can see this was very quick. This was doing the caching very well, I guess. And you just haven't observed, but we get this indicator and transition and all those sort of things as well. So we are ready with this thing now. Our images are coming, our Pokemons are loaded. One more thing which we can do, guys, rather than using this particular thing, like we are using here in API service, we are using fetch Pokemons. We can also use async await to do the same thing, and it will work almost the same. So how you can do it, I'll do that. Like, I'll give you an example. So I can create a new function, right, where I will use the same name, in fact, fetch Pokemons, right? And what I can do, I can just say async over here, right? And it will return a list of Pokemon, which is like, see the code here, which is pretty much simple to write. And it is saying that it is, let's copy this URL. And what we can do, we can just say let data comma response, or response we don't need, in fact. And we can use something called await, and we can just say URL session dot shared dot dot data task. Let's see which one is the async one. Yeah, so dot data is there, so we can pass a URL here, and delegate we don't need. And yes, that's it. So you will get the data over here, and then it can throw. So we can just say try. Okay, this should be fine. And then we can just use this same line which we were using here, like this, and then we can just return Pokemons. So this is how you will use the async await thing. And now it is saying that it is only available in blah blah blah, so we can fix it using the method as available as iOS 15.0. And now how you can use it, right, how you can call this method rather than that, is you can go to your Pokemon view model, and you can create another another function, which this time we will call fetch async Pokemons, for example, just for saying it, right? And this time we can make it asynchronous again, and this time we can just say self.pokemons is equal to APIs, let's say await API service dot fetch Pokemons, and that's all you have to do. But there's one more trick which you have to do, is only available, so you have to just add at the rate available. And when we are just using Pokemon view model, right, we are using this init to self dot fetch Pokemons kind of thing, which probably we don't need after using this. So we can just uncomment it. We don't need to use this method for now. We will use this one just for this iOS 15 thing. And I can go to my content view where I'm using this Pokemon list, right? I can say, rather than this, I can also say here, uh, let's say dot task. So basically task can be used to perform any asynchronous kind of thing. And here I can say dot fetch Pokemons, fetch async Pokemons. And now if I'll just run it, so it is saying that it is only available in um, let's add it version check. If it is not the version, then I'll use the second one, which will not have a task, but rather we will fetch the Pokemons using init. So let's run it once and let's see if this works or not. We are running on iOS 15, so it should work. If we are not running on iOS 15, then we will have to add couple of things, and it still works, guys. So you can see it still works pretty well. And yeah, I mean it's totally good. But if you are not on iOS 15, then what you can do, you can pretty much go back to your Pokemon view model and you can uncomment it. And when you are not on iOS 15, then it will use the Pokemon view model, and then it will use self.fetch Pokemons. It will fetch the Pokemons, it will display it. But when you are working on iOS 15, then it will not use this one, but rather this will call this one and it will do the task for you. But I just wanted to give you my opinion that how you can use both of them, but you don't have to use both of them. You have to use just one, because otherwise it will be unnecessarily complicated, and you don't want to just do some redundancy kind of task, right? So for now, let me just comment it down and let's use Async Await. And this looks better. The code looks very clean. So if you see API service, what we wrote was like this, and it has a lot of like you can see it, we are using dispatch queue, using data task, we are using completion handler, and a lot of things. But this one looks really cool, and it works. Now coming back to our content view, now what I want, this is available in iOS 15, so I want to also add search, maybe search functionality to this, right? So I can just say dot searchable and I can have a text. So what I'm gonna do, I can have a state annotation. So state is basically whenever you want to do some changes in the state of a variable. Let's say if you have a counter, you want to increase it or something needs to change, then you can use this annotation called @state. And I can have a search text over here, for example, which will be of type string, and by default it will be blank. So I can use here this search text. So I can just replace it using this, and I can just say search text. And now what will happen if I'll run this again, then you will see that we will have a search bar. But this only works in iOS 15, so make sure that you are using iOS 15. And you can see we have a search bar over here. But if I search anything here, nothing actually works. So what I can do, I can actually create, let's say, a filtered list, filtered Pokemons, kind of filtered Pokemons, which will be nothing, but it will check. Let's say we can say what we can say. Okay, let's do one thing. We can also say just that we need a field of Pokemons, and we can say if search text dot is empty, then if it is empty, then we can return our Pokemon VM dot Pokemons, right? But if it is not empty, then we can just say return in fact here. And otherwise we can say that Pokemon VM dot, okay, let's do like this, let's return Pokemon VM dot Pokemons dot filter. We can apply some sort of filter, not this one, filter, yeah, we have filter here. And we can have $0, for example, dot name dot contains, and here we can just say search text, right? So what it will do basically, it will look at the Pokemons. If search text is empty, it will return all the Pokemons. And if it is not empty, then it will filter it using the search text. That's what we are doing here. So now what I want to do, rather than saying Pokemon VM dot Pokemons, we can just say filtered Pokemons. Similarly for this one, we can just replace it. Let's run it and let's see if that works. So looks like things are fine till now, and we have this beautiful list of Pokemons, and now we have a search bar. Let's try Pikachu, and it works. So as you can see, it is working fine. We have Pidgey, and all those sort of Pokemons, which is looking really nice. And if I just click here, and we get all the Pokemons. So this is another really nice thing which we could do. And now what I want, when I tap on these Pokemons, I want to see more details about it. So that should be the next target. So this search functionality right now only works in iOS 15. So this is a very easy way to do it. And I guess if they make it, maybe if we want to make it work, then maybe iOS team, if they add the backward compatibility, then it will be really great. Otherwise, I guess we might have to wait for some more time to maybe, like make everything compatible with iOS 15. That's not looking like happening anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, that's what we have to do. Now, when we click on it, we want to go to a new page. So we'll create a new view here, new file, and we can call it SwiftUI view. And this time we can name it Poke Detail. Let's say something like this. And here we have a hello world. So what we'll do, when we'll click on it, then we want to kind of go to this particular Poke Detail, right? So I'll go to Pokemon card, right? We have a Z stack here, which is having Async Image and all those sort of things. What I'm gonna do, I am going to wrap it, or I can just say, oh, we cannot say this. Why? For some reason, I'm not able to use that. So it might be a bug, but I'm not able to wrap it for some reason. So let's do it manually, probably. I don't know. Or maybe let's do one thing. Let's add a navigation link over here, which will ask me that what will be the destination for your so something like this. So we can use this one. So destination will be Poke Detail, for example. And I don't want to use a label as such, but what I can do is I can have an empty view for this, just for the sake of saying it. And now what will happen, if you'll run it again, then you'll see one thing. If I replace this empty view, then it doesn't matter actually. I'll show you what will happen. With all the Pokemons, you will see if I click any of them, then it shows me this hello world. Let's try this one. So if I click it, you can see this shows me an hello world, which is really nice. It has some issue though, which is I guess which we will not be able to see directly, but this navigation link having an empty view, sometimes it creates a problem. So we can just remove it entirely as well if you want. Like we can just hide it, and we can apply our own tap gesture. So it has more properties, like it has a property called is active. So when it is true, then only it moves to the next screen. So yeah, I mean, for now it is working fine. So what I want to do, I want to pass my Pokemon here. So I can just say Poke is equal to Poke. So we can pass the Pokemon over here in the Pokemon detail. And here I can take that Poke, because none of these is changing. So we are not using any binding sort of thing, but we can get the Pokemon here. So here I can use a V stack, right? I can have the same web image and I can display that particular thing. So we can go back to our Pokemon card. We can use this thing, like that, only the two parts of it. So we'll go back, we will just say okay detail, and here also it is asking me for a pokey. So here for pokey we can just say Pokemon and num1 Pikachu, and variation will be blank, right? That should be fine. Okay, fair enough. Now it is saying web image is not in, like this time I have to import it because I have just, or maybe you can just replace it like this, web image, and it will import the st web image SwiftUI. And now if I'll just rerun this, and you will see it running. If I click on this, so navigation link is very useful. Oh, this is looking nice. Not really good in terms of all the things, but let's make it fit. Okay, so we have this. Now I will use the text, and rather than saying this pokey variations again and again, let's say we have pokey var, right, which is like this. So we have a pokebar and we are returning vstack after that. Okay, and using this pokevar we can just say pokevar dot name right? And here also we can just say pokevar pokevar.url image. Okay, now this is looking good. Pokevar is pokey variation, basically nothing else. So this text will have, let's say, a font as dot large title. Then also we will have dot bold. This will be bold. This will also have kind of a shadow, maybe 20. Then we will have another text which will be a description. So we can say pokewar.description. The font will be kind of a caption, and it will have a multi-line text alignment dot center, and also we will have some padding, right? And after that we also, okay, let's try to run this one, which will give you another example that, okay, font weight it should be okay. Now it's fine. Let's try to run it and let's see if that works. um and also you can press Ctrl I to do some formatting. So if I click here, oh, beautiful. So we have a Bulbasaur. We have Bulbasaur is like some description. We can also add spacing manually. So we can just say spacing here as 20, which will do the work for us. After this description, what else we have? So we have used types as well. So we can have some types which we are gonna use probably. So I can have another text which will, or not text, let's use a h stack maybe, because we have a lot of things here. So an h stack, inside that we can have a for each, where we can just say pokevar dot types, right? ID will be let's say dot self, and we can have something like type in, and then we can use a text, right? Text basically as type, and then we can just say that foreground color will be dot white, and then we can give some padding, and then we can have a background where we can just say color dot blue, probably something like this. Let's try this and let's see if that works well. So what will happen is basically we have this, we click here, oh, this is looking really nice. We can do one more thing. We can have corner radius maybe 10, something like this. Also, one more thing, we have something called a link over here as well. So link is basically which can open Pokemon DB with the particular Pokemon. So I will add that link in our model. So I can just say here that we have something called a link as well, which will be of type string. So what we can do inside PokeDetail, we can, after hstack, we can have some sort of link, right? So link, and we can say visit, and then we can pass that link into some destination, which takes a URL. So we can just say URL and pokewar dot link, not link will directly not work, I guess. So we're just getting Pokewar, or we get Pokemon as well. So poke.link, right? And now if I'll play it, so you will see that we will have a link as well. Okay, we got some error. It is saying that, okay, it should not be null. Okay, that's fine. We will make sure that it's not null. Okay, it's saying that link is needed here as well. So let's make it blank. Let's run it one more time, guys. We got one more error somewhere, and this is here, obviously. That's what's supposed to be there. Link. Okay, now it should work. It should definitely work this time. And when we run it, we get this. Okay, lovely. So I can just click here, and you can see this visit kind of thing. Let me just change the name a little. Let's click first here, and yes, it opens a browser with this Pokemon, which is really nice. And if we go back, okay, let's do one thing. I will change a couple of things here, like if I go back to PokeDetail, I visit this Pokemon, something like this. Okay. And also, guys, if I go back to content view, this Pokemon list is fine. It has unnecessary padding, which I really want to change. If let's say if we have added some sort of padding here, yeah, this padding, let's remove this. Do we have anything with the text as well? Text padding is fine, I guess. Yeah. So let's try one more time and let's see if that works. So we have padding removed or not. Yeah, the padding is kind of removed. One more thing which I am liking it not is that this empty view is creating some sort of shadow, which I am not liking. At least in the first Pokemon, I can clearly see this, right? This empty view, which is not looking that good for some reason. Let's click some other Pokemon. Let's click on Charmeleon, and we get this fire visit this Pokemon, and that it works, and we see this Pokemon list the entire information. So you can add more items to this, whatever you want to do. For some reason, when I go back, it doesn't work as expected, I guess. But yeah, I mean, okay, this is fine. Let's run it one more time just to see that whether that thing is happening because of our so let's go to Pokemon card. So as you can see, we have some shadow over here. Also, guys, one more thing which I want to mention, when I was testing this on iOS 14, that because of this searchable functionality which we have added, it does not work, it does not run on that app. The app crashes for some reason. If you remove the searchable, then it works fine. So I just wanted to mention it. Let's remove this once and let's run it one more time just to see if this is what causing that background issue with our Pokemons. And not exactly. So this has some sort of I think this is happening because of list, or maybe some issue with the with our probably simulator. So I mean, everything looks fine now. I think things are working as well. Let's run it one more time. So this is more or less what we could learn from this particular tutorial. We have explored most of the things, and you can see this is looking pretty good. And we have all sort of information about Pokemons. Not all of But yeah, it's running fine. Water, visit this Pokemon. We have lot more. We have Ratata, normal, visit this Pokemon. So these are types. And we can also search. So let's search for again Charmander. We have, let's try with Pikachu again. Raichu, let's try Raichu. So Raichu, yeah, we have Raichu. And if I click here, this Pokemon, okay, I did something. Raichu, and let's click one more time. Oh, why the click not working? Sometimes it's just not working. Okay, this click is not working, guys. Let's see what might be the issue. Let's try running it one more time. Sometimes there is a bug here and there with Xcode 13. So that's also something which you have to remember. And now it's working fine. So Raichu is looking fine. You can also add a tap gesture if you want. But right now I'm just using navigation link. But you can disable it. You can add a tap gesture rather than this. So that's it from this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this mini course of making this Pokemon app. If you did enjoy it, then press the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not the subscriber already, and share with your friends who wants to learn Swift UI. And let me know in the comments if you want more videos on Swift UI, if you have some concepts which you want me to explain. Also, I have explained you many things about this new features like searchable, async await, and this async image. So all those kind of things are very new in SwiftUI 3. So right now you are not restricted. You can use whatever you want to use, either the previous like iOS 15 version or related stuff, or below iOS 15 as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Take care.